10 million years ago, Earth is morphing into a world most of us would recognize. The Colorado River is carving out the Grand Canyon. Mountain ranges like the Himalayas have arisen. They're so tall, they disrupt weather patterns, setting the stage for a colder planet. The Isthmus of Panama emerges to connect North and South America, cleaving the connection between the Atlantic and the Pacific, disrupting ocean currents and tipping the world even more towards an ice age. With the planet getting colder, our primate ancestors hang on in the tropics. But a new creature is coming in that threatens to destroy them. "7 million years ago, our primate ancestors lived safely in the trees. But their neighborhood is about to be invaded. This newcomer will have as profound an effect on human history as any other living thing on Earth. It seems almost impossible to believe, but one of the most important things that will lead to the emergence of us is the emergence of grass."
The grasslands appear almost simultaneously around the world. We get the African savannas. We get the Eurasian steppelands. We get the North American prairies. We get the great grasslands of Argentina, appearing simultaneously around the world.
In eastern Africa, grasslands invade the traditional woodland habitat of our ape ancestors. With fewer trees and greater gaps between them, our ancestors have to adapt.
Apes would notice that there's more and more apes in the same tree and less food, increasing incentives for apes to go from one patch of food to a different one separated by grasslands. Now, one way to do it is to run like hell. The other way to do it is to extend one's food sources into the grasslands and seek out the foods that are available there.
And so, some apes make the move down into this stark new habitat. It's a landscape better suited to primates that can walk on two legs, keeping their heads up above the tall grasses to watch for predators. Standing on 2 feet is a revolutionary advance. It's 10,000 BC, less than 100,000 years after expanding out of Africa. Man has reached South America. Humans have met the adversity of the Ice Age head-on, and rather than die off, we have adapted, become even more intelligent. And now, we have colonized the entire globe. From coast to mountaintop. From tundra to desert. Humans are there.
Our closest living ancestors, chimpanzees, live in the tropics. They only live in the tropics. Humans have managed to colonize the entire globe.
Ice Age land bridges allowed man to spread around the world. But now, the ice begins to melt. And sea levels rise again. Humans are trapped and separated in 2 vast and unconnected hemispheres. Each pocket of humanity left to make the best of what it has been given. As the glaciers recede, they carve out lakes, rivers, and bays. The map as we know it emerges. In Africa, increased rainfall causes Lake Victoria and Lake Albert to overflow and form Egypt's Nile River. In Eurasia, other rivers emerge. The Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. The Indus in modern-day Pakistan, and China's Yellow and Yangtze.
These river valleys become critically important for how human history will now be played out following the retreat of these ice sheets.
These are the river valleys whose waters and fertile soils will allow the first seeds of civilization to be planted. With temperatures warming after the Ice Age, plants and animals are more plentiful, and man can finally choose to stop moving. Permanent settlements begin. Populations grow. With more mouths to feed, our ancestors have to get clever.
They had to find a way to increase the amount of food they could get from the surroundings.
Now, one discovery forever changes the planet and the path of mankind. We learn to plant seeds. And the seeds we sow come from the same plants that millions of years earlier spurred our evolution from ape to man. The unheralded hero of human history, grass.
A grass seed is tiny, right? It's no food. I can hunt a bison or I can take grass. I'm gonna hunt a bison, right? Ironically, grass seeds become the most important food crops in the world, but they're the things that are ignored by hunter-gatherers for thousands and thousands of years. People don't start using them until they absolutely have to use them.
Some of the species of grass that we are most familiar with includes sugarcane. It includes wheat and rye and barley. All of the cereal crops are types of grass. So it's not just that beautiful green lawn that we measure our middle-class success from. It's also the staple crop upon which civilization depends. It is the majority of our calorie intake.
Once again, it all goes back to the Big Bang. Central to the story of all life is our competition for that energy created at the beginning of time. Just as oxygen gave us an edge, just as fire allowed us to consume more calories. Switching to farming is an energy revolution. A hunter-gatherer needs 10 square miles of territory to provide himself with enough sustenance, enough energy in the form of plants and meat to survive. A farmer can harvest the sun's energy so efficiently, he can fulfill his needs using only 1/10 of a square mile of land. In the warming after the last ice age, farming begins to take hold in 6 places around the globe. But by the fortunes of geography, no place in the ancient world has a better concentration of plants and animals that can be domesticated than the Middle East's Fertile Crescent.
In the Middle East, we have this remarkable convergence of species that seem to have been susceptible to domestication, both plants and animals. In terms of animals, we're talking about cattle, pigs, sheep, and goats. In terms of plants, 2 varieties of wheat, rye, barley, lentils, figs, all in this very small part of the world.
Unlike the Fertile Crescent and the rest of Afro-Eurasia, places like sub-Saharan Africa and the Americas have very few wild species that can be easily domesticated. It's a critical difference. People blessed with the right mix of plants and animals will become more powerful and get a massive head start on the road to the modern world.